Strange Histories, Episode 4, The Phone That Failed. On January 9, 2007, Steve Jobs walked on stage and changed the world. He held up a small black rectangle, a phone, an iPod, an internet browser, all in one device, controlled entirely by touch. It became the best-selling product in human history. It is quite possibly the most important piece of technology ever created. In reality, that January morning went almost perfectly. The device worked. The demo landed. The room erupted. Within 6 months, the iPhone was in stores, and within a few years, it had rewritten the rules of an entire industry. But the device was fragile in ways most people never saw. The software was unfinished until days before launch. The touchscreen technology was so new that Apple's own engineers weren't fully confident it would perform reliably on stage. It was, by every account, a gamble. But what if the gamble doesn't pay off? Let's explore a future where things didn't go as planned. 20 minutes into the presentation, the touchscreen stops responding. Jobs taps the screen, nothing happens. He taps again. The demo freezes in front of a live audience and a room full of technology journalists. He recovers. He jokes about it. The keynote continues. But the moment is already everywhere. The device ships in June 2007, as scheduled. The freeze becomes the story. Reviewers who receive early units report the same glitch. The touchscreen randomly stops responding, sometimes for seconds, sometimes for minutes, combined with a price tag of $599. Enormous for a phone at the time, the reviews are brutal. One prominent technology magazine calls it, quote, a beautiful idea built on unfinished technology. Sales are a fraction of projections. Apple issues a software patch. It doesn't fix the core problem. The hardware itself is unreliable. By the end of 2007, returns outpaced new sales. In January 2008, 1 year after the keynote that was supposed to change everything, Apple quietly stops manufacturing the iPhone. It is discontinued. The tech press has a new favorite comparison for ambitious products that fail to deliver. They call it doing an iPhone. Apple survives, but something changes. The company pulls back from ambitious hardware bets. It focuses on what already works. The Mac, the iPod, safe and profitable. The touchscreen smartphone becomes, in the industry's eyes, a solved problem with the wrong answer. Nobody wants to be the next company to, as they say, do an iPhone. BlackBerry keeps its dominance for years longer than it did in reality. The physical keyboard remains the standard for serious mobile communication. Touchscreens are seen as a gimmick for kids' toys and ATMs, not tools for real work. Windows Mobile continues its slow, unglamorous march as the default choice for anyone who needs email on the go. The smartphone as a category simply never crystallizes the way it did in reality. Not because the technology is impossible, because the one company willing to bet everything on it got burned, and nobody else was willing to try again. And so by 2026, it's been 19 years since a keynote that was supposed to change the world and didn't. Phones are still phones, calling, texting, maybe a basic camera. Business users carry devices with physical keyboards. Everyone else carries something closer to what we would call a flip phone, refined over 2 decades, but fundamentally the same idea. Computers are still computers. Laptops have gotten thinner and faster, but the internet lives at a desk or on a lap, at home or in an office. Nobody designed anything for a screen you carry in your pocket, because nothing you carry in your pocket has a screen worth designing for. There is no app store economy. Uber does not exist. You cannot dispatch a driver to a location without a device that knows exactly where you are at all times. Instagram does not exist in any form we would recognize. There is no pocket camera, always available, always connected. DoorDash, Tinder, mobile banking, the entire category of apps built on a computer that is always in your pocket and always online simply has no foundation to stand on. Photography stays separate. If you want to take a picture, you carry a camera. Most people don't. Most of the time, the candid, constant, everything is documented photo culture we know never develops. Fewer photos exist of ordinary daily life than in our timeline. A strange kind of loss nobody in that world even knows to miss. Social media exists, but it stays where it started, desktop bound, something you check when you sit down at a computer, not something that follows you into every waiting room and elevator and quiet moment. The culture around it is slower, less urgent, less addictive, because the device that made it addictive in our timeline was never built. Getting lost is still normal. GPS lives in cars and in dedicated handheld units you buy separately. If your car doesn't have one, you print directions before you leave the house, the way people did in 2005. There is no endless scroll, no notification vibrating in your pocket at 2 in the morning. Some of what's missing is a genuine loss. Connection, convenience, entire industries and forms of art and communication that never had the chance to exist. But some of what's missing might be something closer to relief. In reality, the iPhone succeeded and the world reorganized itself around a rectangle of glass in every pocket on Earth. In the alternate timeline, one bad demo, one unreliable screen, was enough to close that door for a generation. The technology wasn't impossible, it simply needed someone willing to try again, and in this timeline, nobody was. You're probably reading about this video on the same device you used to watch it. In the alternate timeline, you'd have had to walk over to a computer to find out it existed at all. The past, is only one of them.